So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, as usual, we'll be discussing in Indian Express, and since we could not come live on weekend, so we'll be discussing the important article from the weekend as well. So let's start our discussion. We will be starting with the practice question, then we will talk about our constitution. After that, we will move to the fact of the day. The sequence is a little bit tweaked today, but let's see. So starting with the practice question, then we will go to the constitutional amendments, and then we will be talking about the fact of the day. After that, we will be discussing these important article. Why do you need Jeevan Pramaan? Now, life certificate, why do you need that? So we will be talking about what is life certificate, where do you need it, and why we are talking about it. Recently the government has done some changes, so we will be talking about that. Okay. Then coming to the next one, India gets its hypersonic missile. Okay, when we talk about missiles, there are different types. Okay, on the basis of the speed. Okay. When we talk about the sonic word, this is generally used for the sound waves. Okay, so hypersonic, which says that more than the speed of sound. So we'll be seeing that there is this missile which India has indigenously developed. We'll be talking about that. Then what caused global warming? There was this article in the Explained which is talking about the global warming, and it is saying that why carbon dioxide is the major component. We have various greenhouse gases, we have methane, we have you can say water vapors, we have nitrogen oxides, etc. Then why is that carbon dioxide is the only one which is majorly impacting the global warming? So we'll be talking about that article as well. Other than that, we'll be talking about 3 to 4 articles which were there. Okay, if you look at this front page of the newspaper, you will not find something significant today. Most of the news here are political in nature, so we will be skipping this. Here you can say Nigeria honors PM Modi, so we'll be talking about that. There will be a slide dedicated to this. So let's start with our discussion, and let's see the practice question which was given to you. When was the Armed Force Special Power Act AFSPA first enacted in India? Okay, so that is 1958. Okay, before that, when we are talking about this 1947 etc., we had the AFSPA Act, but that was having a different name. That was under the colonial rule etc. When we are talking about the Quit India movement etc., at that point of time also they have used similar act to suppress the movement. Okay, after that in 1947 there was various ordinances which were there. Okay, and after that there was this act which was passed in 1948, but again that act was related to a particular area of the, you can say, country. After that the AFSPA was you can say the recent one, the one we are using right now, that was enacted in 1958. Okay, other than that there is no option, that is 1948 is not given in the option, so we can eliminate that altogether. 1947 is not given over there. When we are talking about the 1947, that is basically before the constitution came into picture, so we will not be taking into consider that one as well. Okay, so 1958 is your most appropriate answer over here. Now coming to the next one, before that we have this offline batches for GS Foundation course prelims plus main, and these are available in English medium at our Delhi center. So from the 26th of November this course will start. The commencement date is 26th November, and for enrollment you can directly visit the center or you can call on this number, that is 8010440440. Before moving further, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. It will help you in your examination. So let's start with the discussion. First, we will be talking about the 73rd Amendment Act. I don't have to talk about this particular act because 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act are special in on their own itself. When we talk about the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, this is the time when Panchayati Raj got the constitutional status. Okay, now whether we had panchayats before that, yes, we did have panchayat before that. Okay, even you can say when we are talking about the after independence in a formal setup. The first time the panchayats were introduced in Rajasthan, there was this district Nagaur. There is this district Nagaur in Rajasthan. Here we can say that formally panchayats were established for the first time. Other than that, also in our DPSPs also we had mention of panchayats, but with this act we have made them constitutional. We have came up with the framework. There was this power which has been divided. So all these things has happened in the 73rd Constitution Amendment Act, that is 1992. Okay, so let's see. Granted constitutional status and protection to the Panchayati Raj institution. For this purpose, the amendment has added a new part, that is part 9 in the constitution and 11th schedule in the constitution, and in that 11th schedule there are 29 functions which has been identified for the panchayats. Okay, so these 29 functions has been identified for the panchayat. Now center will be giving you a framework law, and on the basis of which different states can go for their own laws. Okay, so that was done in the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, that panchayats got the, you can say, constitutional status. After that, coming to the 74th, the similar thing has happened for the, you can say, urban local bodies. Okay, urban local bodies. For that we had came up with the 74th Amendment Act, that is 1992, granted constitutional status and the protection to the urban local bodies, that is basically your municipalities, etc. Okay, for this purpose the amendment has added a new part, that is 9A. The 9 was added over here, 9A was added over here, and entitled as the municipalities, and a new 12th schedule containing 18 functions. For urban local bodies there are 18 functions which has been identified. Okay, now for these you can say local self government, if we talk about, there were few provisions which were done, that there will be a state election commission. State election commission will be there. That state election commission will be responsible for the elections of the panchayat and the municipalities. That is one thing. Second thing is there will be a state finance commission as well. This state finance commission will be there for the, you can say, distribution of the tax revenue which state generates to the panchayat. Okay, so now these are some provisions which were there. These are given in the center's framework law, and on the basis of the requirement, state can go for their own enactments. Okay, so that is there about your 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments. Please remember them, that is important. First time they were introduced in Nagaur in Rajasthan. Okay, informally speaking, that was there in the, you can say, India for a long time, but formally speaking, that after independence, if we talk about, that is from your Nagaur it has started. Okay, now we can move further to the fact of the day. Now we are talking about Kumbh over here. Kumbh fair or Kumbh Mela, you must have heard about it. So Maha Kumbh Mela 2025 will be held in Prayagraj from 13th January to 26th of February 2025. Now this fact is not important for you. Just know that there is this Maha Kumbh Mela which has been organized, will be organized in the Prayagraj. That is one thing. Second thing is the word Kumbh. The word Kumbh comes from the root, that is Kumbhak. Okay, Kumbhak means the sacred pitcher of elixir of immortality. So basically the Amrit, you can say. Okay, so that is the another meaning of the word Kumbhak. Okay, from that we have come up with this word, that is Kumbh. Now gathering, this Kumbh Mela is organized at 4 places. One is your Haridwar, okay, on the banks of Ganga river, then Ujjain on the banks of Shipra river, then Nasik on the banks of Godavari or Dakshin Ganga, then in Prayagraj on the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and the mythical invisible Saraswati. Okay, this is the mention which is there in our you can say text. It is given that there is this Saraswati river, and even if you talk about the Indus Valley civilization, you must have heard about it, and this is also called as Saraswati civilization or Saraswati Valley civilization, because it was said that earlier there was this Saraswati river which has actually dried up later on. So on the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, that is mythical and invisible. So that is Prayagraj, where you can say on the Sangam this particular Mela is organized. Okay, so Haridwar, Ujjain, Nasik and Prayagraj, these are the 4 places where Kumbh Mela is organized. Now if we talk about different type of Kumbh, we have seen that there is this Maha Kumbh which will be organized over here. So how many types of Kumbh are there? So here you can see Kumbh Mela is celebrated 4 times over a course of 12 years. So basically every you can say 4 years there will be a Kumbh Mela. At Haridwar and Allahabad, Ardh Kumbh Mela is held every 6th year. Okay, so every 6 years there will be a Ardh Kumbh which will be there. Kumbh after 4 years, Ardh Kumbh after 6 years at two places, that is Haridwar and Allahabad. Mahakumbh Mela is celebrated at Prayagraj after 144 years. And then Magh Kumbh. Magh Kumbh is basically, we have a, you can say, a month in our Hindu calendar, that is Magh. So Magh Kumbh is celebrated every year in the month of Magh in Prayagraj. Okay, so that is there. Now Mahakumbh Mela, that is important for us. Okay, it is celebrated as Prayagraj after 144 years. Okay, so that is about your Kumbh. We have Kumbh Mela, we have Ardh Kumbh, we have Mahakumbh, we have Magh Kumbh. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further. We have discussed this question, this particular part, because from your art and culture, culture's point of view, art and culture section, from culture's point of view, that can be important. Okay, now let's move further and talk about the first article of the day, that is talking about your life certificate. In life certificate month, how government's Jeevan Pramaan has been faring. Okay, now we will not be going into the how many Jeevan Pramaan certificate has been you can say issued, when it will be issued. Right now there is a campaign which is going on, which is for the creation of the Jeevan Pramaan, and if you have an Aadhaar card, you can directly go, and otherwise also with the help of your devices, you can go for the creation of the Jeevan Pramaan. Let's see what is it. Now every November, retirees including from the government, defense services, railway, public sector undertakings and many higher educational institutions, etc. have to submit a life certificate to continue to receive their pension for another year. Okay, point over here is that earlier what used to happen is that you have to go and collect your pension. Now pensions are coming into your bank accounts. So the thing is, to make sure that person is alive who is getting the pension, you have to produce a life certificate. Otherwise, earlier, as I told you, in the physical form, you have to go over there and collect the pension. Okay. Other than that also, there are still some places wherein you can go and physically present over there, and then pension will be transferred to your bank account. All these things are there, but government has come up with these life certificates to make sure that you are alive, and then for another year you will be getting the pension. Okay, so that is the objective of the life certificate. Now since 2014, the government has been issuing digital life certificates. Okay, DLCs. Now why digital life certificates? Because after 2014 we have seen that we have moved toward digital India, we have moved toward bank accounts and formalization of the financial institutions and financial services. So considering that, government has decided that we should go for the digital life certificates. Other than that also, it is for the convenience of the people, because when we are talking about the pensioners, they are basically of you can say higher age, or they are senior citizens, so there are high chances that they might not be able to walk to the you can say financial institution to get their pension. For that, they have started to issue digital life certificates or Jeevan Pramaan. So the pensioner does not have to physically appear before the pension distributing authority, which includes bank and post offices, or deliver a paper life certificate to them in the prescribed format. So basically, two things you could do. Either you can go there and physically present over there, or you can say in the physical form you can present the life certificate. Now Jeevan Pramaan can be generated online anywhere and is made available directly to the relevant pension disbursing authority. Now let's see what is happening. There is this post office where you have the pension account, and earlier you had to visit the post office and then you will be getting the pension. Now this person over here is basically has the mobile phone, and with the mobile phone he has generated the digital life certificate. Now this digital life certificate, when it is generated over here, that will directly reflect into the servers of the post office as well. Now in the servers of the post office, when digital life certificate is there, that means that the person is alive, and now they have to disperse the pension to that particular person's bank account. Okay, now this person does not have to go to the post office. Directly they will know that if there is an existence of the digital life certificate, that means that it is there in their server, and then they will be dispersing the pension digitally to the bank account. Okay, so that is a way to make the procedure easy. Now there are some people who has this habit to go to the post office, okay, or socializing. Those people can go to the post office and they can see they can show their DLC and they can get the pension. So that option is still there. Okay, now Jeevan Pramaan can be generated online anywhere and is made available directly to the relevant pension distributing dispersing authority. Okay, the department and under which department it will come? So Department of the Pension and the Pensioners Welfare. Other than that, ministry is your Ministry of Personal Public Grievance and the Pensions. Okay, so that is something which you can remember with respect to the pensions. We have a department and a ministry. Then, however, pensioners who prefer to physically go to the post office or the bank to submit their life certificates can continue to do so. As I told you, there are certain people who has this habit of socializing with people, going and talking to people, so they can directly go to the bank and they can do it. Okay. Now, 64.88 crore central government pensioners are there. 64.88 crore. Okay. So that is the number of pensioners which we have. When we are talking about the pensioners, the most is there in the civilian pensioners, that is 32 lakh something. After that, we have defense pensioner, that is 15.25 lakh something. We have the maximum pensioner which are there in defense, that is 32 lakh something. Okay, and then when we are talking about the civil pensioner, that is somewhere around 10 lakhs, and railway pensioner, they are around some 15 lakh. So on, maximum are there in the defense. Okay, so that is there. Jeevan Pramaan number, this is the, you can say, as I told you, this is a campaign which is going on as usual. Every November this will happen, so that is there. So this number is not important for us. Now, generation of DLC, how will you generate the DLC? The Jeevan Pramaan portal uses the Aadhaar for biometric authentication, which can be done by pensioners on their own or by visiting a camp. Okay, now face authentication has also been added as an option over here. Now, the person who want to generate a DLC, that person must have an Aadhaar number and a mobile number linked to it and register their Aadhaar with the pension distributing authority. Okay, obviously, if you are generating a DLC using Aadhaar, okay, you will have to have a mobile which is linked to the Aadhaar, and then this mobile number is linked to the post office account as well. Okay, so that is what is given over here. Now, register their Aadhaar with the pension dispersing authority. If they choose to use the Jeevan Pramaan app or the website on their own without going to the camp, they can do it, but they would need a biometric device. Okay, for the, you can say, verification, you would need a biometric device. If you have this biometric device at your home, you can do it from home, or either you can visit the camps. Okay, so that is there. The digital empowerment of the pensioner is a big step forward, saving them the trouble of visiting the pension office every November. Okay, so that is about your life certificate and why these are important. Now, there is this slide which I have written some things over here, which is you can say important from your exams point of view. So you can go through these particular points. Okay. Anyways, let's move further. Now, Jeevan Pramaan is a digital life certificate system for the pensioners, which we have talked about. Aadhaar based biometric authentication will be there, and as I told you, face recognition has also been added over here. Pensioners can generate their life certificate electronically from using the mobile phone. If you have the biometric verifier at your home, that you can directly do it from home, or either you have to visit the camp. Okay, the certificate is sent directly to the pension distributing authority, for example, banks or the post office. Objective is to simplify and secure the process of providing a pensioner's life to continue receiving their pension. Okay, it is part of the government's effort to digitize services and make them more accessible, especially for the elderly pensioners or the senior citizens. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next one, that is basically talking about CLSA goes overweight on India, reversed the call on China after Trump returned to the power. Now, CLSA, this is a body, or you can say these are kind of investors or financial institution, advisors, etc. Okay, so it is a financial institution. For your help, you can just remember that it is a financial institution which is based in Hong Kong. Now, earlier what they have done, that they have put more, or they were betting their money on China earlier. Okay, or you can say they were investing more in China earlier. Why? Because China has given a financial, or you can say economic stimulus. Okay, so considering that, they have thought that the economic activity in China will gear up, and that is why they were putting, or you can say giving money, or you can say investing money in the Chinese economy. But after some time, they got to realize that that has not given the kind of result what they have expected. Okay, now what has happened is that now Trump has came to power, and considering that there are high chances that he will be going for the tariffs. Trump has said that he might go for the tariff as much as 60% as well. Now, if such tariffs are there, that means that the export will hit, or China's export will hit. Right now, China's you can say internal or domestic demand is suffering, so they are looking for the exports. Now, if there are tariffs like 60%, that means that they won't be able to go for the exports to USA. That means that the economic activity in the China will further decline. So that is why now they are betting their money on India. So they have reversed their strategy. So let's see. In just over a week since the Donald Trump won the US presidency, Hong Kong based brokerage firm, that is CLSA, raised in its India allocation to 20% overweight while cutting exposure to China. It is seen as a tactical reversal from its earlier October update, when it has overweight on China following Beijing's first stimulus on September 24th. China's second tranche, or 1.4 billion package, which has been announced recently on November 8, and yet other you can say one more is coming in January. So China is going for the economic stimulus because their economy is not performing well, and this particular financial institution, or that you can say this is a service provider, they have realized that still that particular stimulus does not have to do with the economic activities. That is mostly for the debt restructuring. Okay, so that is why now they are, you can say, putting money, or you can say investing money in India. So let's see. CLSA Credit Lyonnais Security Asia is a Hong Kong based brokerage firm providing financial services including market research and the investment advices. Okay, now shift in the investment here. After Donald Trump's US presidential election, CLSA decided to invest more in India, less in China, due to the escalating US-China trade war. As I told you, Trump has this in the manifesto. He has said that he will be going for the tariffs up to 60% on China. Reason for the shift: CLSA initially focused on China after the stimulus announcement, but the second stimulus in the November was weaker than expected, and the trade tension between USA and China are rising. So that is why they are focusing now on India. Now, India's advantage, if we see, so since we are getting the investment, that is good for us. Okay, India is less impacted by the Trump's trade policies compared to China, making it safer investment despite having a high stock valuations. Okay. Now, moving further, China's economic concerns. As I told you that we are the countries are skeptical about China right now. So CLSA is skeptical about China's future economic performance due to the weak stimulus and the increasing trade risk. India's investment potential: India is seen as a strong growth opportunity. Recently also, when we are talking about the various you can say economic institutions, they have said that India will be growing at the pace of you can say 6.5 to 7%. Okay, so that is a good pace. So that is why we are having this growth potential. We will be the fastest growing economy, so they are willing to invest more in India. Okay, so India is seen as the strong growth opportunity, with the investors possibly looking to buy after a period of selling in the Indian market. Okay, right now we have seen that we have FPI outflow was there, okay, because of which market was not performing well. But now, since such declaration has been made, there are high chances that we will start to get the FPI again. Okay, foreign investment trends here. CLSA noted that the foreign investors have been selling Indian stocks recently, which could provide a buying opportunity for those looking to invest at the lower price. Right now, this is the best time if you want to invest in the mutual funds, because prices are low. When you can get into the market, you can get the investments, and after that, there are chances that you might get a good yields. Okay, so that is about the article which is related to the CLSA's change in the stance, which is not much important. But the thing is, if you look at the scenario, you will be understanding the how market works. Okay, FPI was outflowing from India, so the you can say the price of the stock was going down. Okay, now there is this announcement that USA might go for the putting some kind of you can say tariffs on China. So earlier, India out, and you can say sell India and buy China. That was the strategy which was used by the foreign investors. Now, after this announcement, there are high chances that they might go for the Indian stocks and not for Chinese. Okay, because Chinese economy is not performing well. Second things, there will be a tariff which will be imposed on China. Okay, so this is about understanding the market. Now, moving further, India enters the select club, successfully test fired long range hypersonic missile. Now, here you can see, in a major boost to its military powers, India has successfully flight tested a long-range hypersonic off the coast you can say there is a missile which has been launched from the coast of Odisha. Okay, so here you can say test fire of the long range hypersonic missile at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Island of the Odisha coast. Okay, so please remember this. Now please remember the location of APJ Abdul Kalam Island, that is there in the of the Odisha coast, that is also there. Okay, now this put the country in a select group of nations having weapons that can strike with the extreme speed and evade the most air defense systems. Okay, now if we are talking about this hypersonic missile, there are only few countries like Russia, China, which are having it. Okay, even USA is working on these particular projects. Okay, and now India has also entered into the, you can say, this particular league. Okay, now first long range hypersonic missile, this is when we are talking about India, this is the first long range hypersonic mission which is there, developed by DRDO, designed to carry various of payloads, range greater than 1500 kilometers. So range, you can remember, that is more than 1500 kilometers which is there. And here you can say the missile has been indigenously developed by the laboratories of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Missile Complex, Hyderabad, along with the DRDO's laboratories. Okay, now generally hypersonic missiles are capable of carrying conventional explosives or nuclear warheads, can fly in the range of 5 times of the speed. When we are talking about this hypersonic, that means that it is greater than or equal to the 5 Mach speed. When we talk about the Mach, Mach is the unit for the speed of sound. And when we are talking how hypersonic, that means that it is 5 times the speed of sound. Okay, so that is there. You can see can fly in the range of 5 times the speed of sound, that is Mach 5, which is roughly 1220 kmph at the sea level. And Russia and China are ahead in developing the hypersonic missile, while US is in the process of developing a range of such weapons under the ambitious programs. Okay, now India is also entering into the league which is there. Now this is about the hypersonic missile. Now here we can see there are 2-3 type of missiles which you should know about. Okay, first is your subsonic. Subsonic means that lesser than the you can say speed of the sound. Speed of the sound, we consider that 1 Mach. Okay, so that is the, you can say, benchmark. 1 Mach is the speed of sound. That is basically your when we are talking about a subsonic, that means that the speed of the missile here will be less than the speed of sound. Okay, then coming to the next, that is transonic, that will be having the speed which is equal to the speed of sound. Now we have supersonic, that is more than the speed of the sound, that is more than 1 Mach. And then we have hypersonic, that is more than 5 times the speed of sound. Okay, so that is basically more than 5 Mach. Okay, I hope that is clear. These are the 4 types which are based on the speed of the missiles. Okay, now we can move further and see the next article, that is basically talking about why CO2 has contributed the most to the global warming. Okay, now if we are talking about the, you can say, greenhouse gases. Okay, so we have various gases, like we have CO2, then we have CH4, then we have nitrogen oxides, then we have water vapor. Okay, in some cases ozone, tropospheric ozone, etc. So these are there. Okay, these are your greenhouse gases. Now what is a greenhouse gas? So basically, let's see, you know that we are having, let's see over here, from sun there are various radiations which are coming towards the earth. Okay, now these are your short wave radiations. Now these are coming to the earth and then they are getting into the atmosphere. We have an atmosphere, we know that, and in atmosphere there are various gases along with CO2, NO2, then methane, other oxides are also there. So water vapor. Now when these short wave radiations are getting inside the earth's atmosphere, so these will start heating up the surface of the earth. Now when the surface of the earth is getting heated, so it will start to radiate its own radiations, that is basically your long wave radiations. Okay, now when we are talking about these gases, greenhouse gases, they have the capacity to actually absorb, or you can say hold, these long wave radiations. So because of which in this particular atmosphere, or you can say, you can consider that as an, you can say, layer under which these long wave radiation get trapped. It won't be able to go outside the atmosphere, so these will be trapped inside the atmosphere only. So these are the long wave radiations. After Earth is getting heated up because of the sun's short wave radiations, Earth will start to radiate these ultraviolet rays, that is basically your you can say long wave radiations, and these radiations won't be able to escape the atmosphere because of the presence of the gases of like CO2 and NO2, CH4, water vapors, etc. Okay, so these get trapped, and because of which the temperature of Earth start to increase. Now this particular phenomena, that is not a bad phenomena for us, because earlier we know that Earth was also a ice giant. Okay, and because of this greenhouse gas effect, this particular effect of getting these radiations getting trapped inside the atmosphere, that is known as the greenhouse gas effect, okay, or GHG effect. Now because of the GHG effect or the greenhouse gas effect, these radiations are trapped and the temperature of Earth is start to increase. Earlier we had this Earth as a ice giant, and because of these radiation which were getting trapped, so you can see that ice has converted into water. Okay, so the existence of life is because of this particular process. But right now what is happening is that process, or the speed of the process, has enhanced or increased, and that has increased exceptionally, because when we are talking about the concentration of CO2, that is increasing. Okay, now there are other gases like methane, etc., which are there, and because of them also the, you can say, heating potential is increasing, but the most you can say effect has been done by the CO2. After the pre-industrial, when we are talking about the pre-industrial era, so that speed was not very much, or the warming speed was not very much, but after the industrialization, you can say that the emission of the greenhouse gases has increased, and because of which the rate at which the temperature is increasing has enhanced, and that effect is basically called as the global warming. Okay, now come back to the you can say article again. India's carbon dioxide emission from burning fossil fuel are expected to increase by 4.6% in 2024. Okay, we cannot leave the you can say coal etc. right now, because we are still a developing country. So our emissions will be 4.6%, you can say increased by 4.6% in 2024. When we are talking about the global you can say emissions, that will be around 0.8%. overall it will be increasing. Okay, at the point when we are talking about decreasing the emissions so that we can stick to the target of 1.5 degree Celsius change in the temperature, this is increasing. That means that there are high chances within 5 to 6 years we will be breaching this particular limit, which has been given over here. Fossil fuel based CO2 emissions are set to touch record high, that is 37.4 billion ton this year, a rise of 0.8% from the 2023. There is a 50% chance the global warming will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius consistently in about 6 years. Okay, so that is what is there. Now CO2 is one of the most important GHGs and primarily driver of the anthropogenic climate change. Okay, now what are the greenhouse gases? We have already seen, and sorry, we have already seen, see, CO2, methane, which are there. Now simply put, the greenhouse gas act like a blanket that envelops the earth and insulate it from the cold of the space. This process maintaining a warmer temperature is called greenhouse effect, which we have already talked about. Now gases like CO2, CH4, water vapor, they occur naturally and they are a boon for the planet, because of which life is possible on the planet. Otherwise we would also have earth as an ice giant. Okay, now because of which we are having liquid water and any form of life which is possible over here. But issue is that the issue thus is not the presence of the greenhouse gases, but the concentration level in the atmosphere. 1,000 years before the industrial revolution, the greenhouse concentration remained relatively constant, but after the industrial revolution, that you can say concentration has started to increase, which is affecting the atmosphere now, and especially CO2 because of the human activities. Now why CO2 has played a major role? Now when we are talking about the gases CO2, CH4, they have a heating potential. Now heating potential of CH4 is higher than CO2, but the concentration of CO2 is so high that CO2 is impacting the climate change not as much as CH4. Okay. Now when we talk about the time for which CO2 can exist in the atmosphere, that is also less than the CH4. CH4 will be there for the longer time in the atmosphere, but the concentration is so high that some part of the CO2 will be there for your, you can say, nearly about here somewhere we have written over there that CO2 is emitted into atmosphere, 40% will remain in atmosphere for 100 years. 40% of the CO2 will remain here for the 100 years, 20% will reside for 1000 years, and the final 10% will reside for 10,000 years to turn over. So that is why we are saying that CO2 is the most responsible one. Now here you can see, when we are talking about the other, water vapor is the most abundant GHG. The concentration of water vapor is very high, but the shelf life, or the for the time the water vapor will be there in the atmosphere, that is very less, that is 10 days on average. Okay, so water vapor is not very efficient in going for the, you can say, this particular effect. Now when we are talking about the CH4, so CH4 and hydrofluorocarbons, these are also responsible for the greenhouse gases for the global warming. Since the onset of the industrial time, human activities has raised the atmospheric CO2 by 50%. So that is the reason, the concentration of CO2. Now CO2 remains in the atmosphere for longer than the other greenhouse gases emitted due to the human activities. A decade for CH4 emission to leave the atmosphere. When we talk about these your CH4, it takes 10 years. Though the warming potential is high, but the time for which CH4 remains in the atmosphere, that is less. Then when we talk about the CO2, we have seen that will remain here for your 100 years, 1000 years and 10,000 years. Okay, so that is why CO2 is the component which is most responsible for the climate change. Other than that, there is some data which is given over here. It was found that between 1750 and 2011, CO2 had the highest positive, you can say, radiative force, meaning it had the greatest warming effect on the planet. Okay, so CO2 is responsible for the, you can say, planet's warming at most. Okay, so that is about your CO2, why it is responsible. We have talked about this. Now we can move further to the next one, that is not at WTO COPs. Where do you want to discuss the carbon? This particular text which was there with respect to the European Union. Okay, so when we are talking about the carbon markets, okay, so there is this carbon border adjustment mechanism which is there, that is CBAM. So European Union imposes a tax on those products which are coming from the countries which is having low emission criteria. Okay, so from a country like India, which is you can say going for the higher emissions, etc. So for such countries they will be imposing extra tax. Okay, now countries like India and China are saying that is discriminatory in nature, because if we are talking about these kind of taxes, that will hinder the trade, that will impact the export from these countries. Okay, so now when they were talking about at COP, they have said that this is not the right platform to talk about it. So India and China has asked that where should we talk about? Not at WTO, not at COP, where should we discuss the CBAM? Okay, so that has been discussed in this article. Here you can say the crux is given. At COP29, India and China confronted the European Union over the issue of carbon border adjustment mechanism. Both countries opposes the EU's proposal to impose a tax on the goods imported from the countries with lower emission standards. Okay, EU has said that from a particular deadline, from a particular date, they will be going for the imposition of this particular tax, but India, China, such countries are reluctant about it. Okay, now CBAM controversy. CBAM aims to adjust the carbon footprint of the goods imported into EU by taxing those countries from which these goods are coming and they are having lower environmental regulations, like India and China. EU is pushing this as part of the climate agenda, but India and China argue that this is discriminatory and goes against the international trade agreements. Okay, so basically EU is saying that we are you can say working on the lines of the climate change. We are trying to discourage the goods which are promoting climate change, but India is saying that that is discriminatory in nature, because for the developing countries, the, you can say, source of energy is basically coal, and they are, if they are producing from the coal, and you are saying that they you will be putting extra tariffs on such goods, that means that it will be discriminatory for these countries. Okay, so that is there. Moving further here, dispute on the forums. India and China opposes the discussion of the CBAM at WTO and COP meetings. They argue that the issue should not be discussed at these forums, claiming that it might lead to unfair trade practices and violate the trade agreements. Now, basic group stance, if we talk about, basic is basically a group of Brazil, South Africa, India and China demanded that discussions around CBAM would be framed within the context of the broader climate finance, and the called EU for EU to acknowledge its responsibilities in providing financial support to the developing nations. So basically they are saying that European Union should go for help in the climate financing. Okay, so that is there, nothing much, but just know that what is carbon border adjustment mechanism, which we have discussed over here, that is only which is important from this particular article. Okay, now we can move further to the next one, that is Nigerian honor for PM Modi. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives Nigeria's second highest national award, the Grand Commander of Order of the Niger. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja Sunday has presented this award to PM Modi. Modi will be in Brazil on Monday to attend the G20 summit. Okay, so G20 summit is about to happen on Monday in Brazil. So that is one thing. Second, we have talked about this particular honor. The name of the honor is the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. This he is the second you can say foreign dignitary who has received this award. First was Queen Elizabeth in 1969. Okay, so that is a matter of pride for us. Okay, Modi emphasized the importance of India-Niger strategic ties, saying India gives high priority to its relationship with Nigeria. There are various diasporas which are living in Nigeria. So that is about it. Just remember the name of the honor, that can be asked in objective type questions. Okay, moving further to the next one. Why the arrival of Pakistan cargo ship in Bangladesh is a big deal. Recently what has happened is that a cargo from Pakistan has reached to Bangladesh at Chittagong Post. Chittagong or Chittagong. Okay, earlier it was known as Chittagong, now it is Chittagong. Okay, so at this particular port they have sent a you can say Pakistani consignment which has reached over here. Now why this is important? When we are talking about Pakistan and Bangladesh, you know that there is a history which is there. Okay, so there is the historical aspect which is attached to it. In this particular slide you will be able to understand. First is your historical context. Now in 1971, you know that there was this East Pakistan which was actually got out of Pakistan and become a new state, that is your Bangladesh. Okay, India has helped in that particular war. So 1971 war of independence, at that point of time the West Pakistan has gone for various atrocities in, you can say, today's Bangladesh. That means that that particular, you can say, wound is still there. So because of the historical context, the relations has not been very fruitful. Okay, then coming to the next one, political landscape. Earlier, when there was this, mostly Sheikh Hasina's government is there, and other than that also political you can say parties over there, they have been reluctant to go in the favor of you can say Pakistan. Why? Because of the, you can say, same this historical aspect. So political scenario in Bangladesh was not in favor of Pakistan, but why things has changed, we will be talking about that. Okay, other than that, efforts for improvement of the ties. So Pakistan has tried various times. Pakistan has attempted to move beyond 1971 legacy, focusing on the economic and the diplomatic cooperation, but historical tension remains. Okay, now trade development. Recently a Pakistan cargo ship docked at Chittagong port in Bangladesh, making a significant resumption. Now why this particular significant resumption has came? Okay, so let's see here. Under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh has pursued justice for 1971 war crimes. Okay, so that historical context still is there. Now political shift in the relations. Recently you will see that in Bangladesh there is a domestic polity is being going through doldrums, and there are certain changes which are happening over there. Okay, and because of which now there is this new opening which has come up for the Pakistan. There are still political factions in the Bangladesh resistant to the closer ties with Pakistan due to 1971 war, but recent development shows some openness to improving diplomatic relations. Okay, and because of this particular recent developments, this is the, you can say, event which has happened. So that is about your Bangladesh and you can say Pakistan relations. Just know that this location of Chittagong, that is important for us. Just know that it is a port of Bangladesh. On the map, if you want to see, we have this Chittagong over here, and it is in the vicinity of Myanmar, you can say, and in the north we have India over here, and here you can see it is on the border in Bay of Bengal. Okay, so that is a port of Bangladesh. From Pakistan, there was a consignment which has come to the Chittagong. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now moving further, from IR's point of view, as Trump presidency looms, all eyes on Biden and Xi final meeting. So that was the final meeting before President Trump's enter into the office. Okay, so this is on the sidelines of the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in Lima. Okay, so just know that it has happened in Lima, that is in Peru. Okay, given Donald Trump's election promises, US-China ties could become more volatile with him in the White House, okay, which was very evident, and he has this anti-China stance. Both Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, while maintaining conflicting positions, have done so with the intensive diplomacy. Xi is also likely to project China to the global south as a force for the stability, as a counter to Trump's spontaneity, further complicating the ties. Okay, so basically you can say that there is this issue. They are speculating that after Mr. Trump comes to the office, then there are high chances that the USA and China's ties will further tension. Okay, this is the last time Joe Biden has met Xi as a president on the sidelines of the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum in Lima, Peru. Okay, now there is this article, Norway apologizes for the forced assimilation of the Sami and other minorities. Now Norway is a place which is there in Europe. Okay, now they have been for years going for the forced assimilation of the minorities over there. Some of them are basically, you can say, the name is Sami. These are the communities. One is Sami, Quen, Forest Fin. Okay, so these are the minorities which are there, and what they are trying to do is basically they are trying to forcefully assimilate them into the Norwegian culture. Okay, these are the indigenous people which are living over there. For what they are doing, what you must have heard about the Xinjiang region. Okay, so similarly they are also having this you can say boarding schools where they are taking the children forcefully and they are trying to impose this Norwegian culture over there. Okay, so now they have realized that they were doing this wrong for years. Now they have apologized for that. Okay, so that is there. Here you can see Norway apologizes. Norwegian Parliament formally apologizes for the historical forced assimilations of indigenous people, including the Sami, Quen, and the Forest Fin, though policies that suppresses their language and the culture. Okay. So now forced boarding schools, I have already told you, these policies also involved removing the children from their families and sending them to the boarding schools to assimilate them into the Norwegian culture. Historical context, if we talk about, the forced assimilation began more than a century ago and has lasting negative effect on the minority communities which are living over there, cause both personal hardship and the cultural conflict. Okay, so just remember the name of these three, you can say, communities, minorities which are there in Norway region. They might ask you in the match the following or something like that. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now moving further, for your own read, there is this article, why New Zealand lawmakers stage haka against the divisive bill. So you can go through this article. This haka dance, which has already been news earlier as well, so please give a little bit of thought in this particular aspect as well. Now with that, we will be moving to the last part, that is basically a practice question. Where is Chittagong or the Chittagong port located? India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar. So this is a very easy question. You can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day. Thank you.
गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स, चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं आपकी आज की क्लास। तो स्टूडेंट्स, हम लोग जो है आपकी आज से आपका एक नया सब्जेक्ट शुरू होने जा रहा है, जो कि आपकी रीट पात्रता परीक्षा लेवल फर्स्ट के लिए, यानी कि कक्षा 1 से 5 तक के लिए आपका पर्यावरण अध्ययन जो है आज आपका शुरू होने जा रहा है। ठीक है, तो स्टूडेंट्स इसमें एक सेकेंड रुक जाइए। थोड़ा सा बोर्ड, हाँ, इसे सबसे पहले हम लोग देखेंगे कि आपकी जो रीट की परीक्षा है उसका पैटर्न है क्या चीज, है ना, कैसे है। तो जैसे देखिए, जो रीट का पेपर होता है, रीट का पेपर होता है वो 2 लेवल में होता है, एक फर्स्ट लेवल में होता है, एक सेकंड लेवल में होता है। जो फर्स्ट लेवल में होता है वो आपका प्राइमरी होता है, जिसे हम प्राइमरी स्तर में होता है, यानी कि कक्षा 1 से 5 तक का ये आपका लेवल होता है। और दूसरा होता है जूनियर लेवल, यानी कि यह अपर प्राइमरी होता है, अपर प्राइमरी लेवल का होता है, यानी कि कक्षा 6 से आपका 7 तक, 6 से आपका 8 तक। अब जो आपका प्राइमरी लेवल यानी कि जो फर्स्ट लेवल होता है उसमें 30 सवाल सेम टू सेम एकदम सीटेट की तरह ही होता है। सीडीपी,